Again, Pythagorean theorem, but we have special rules. So case number one, 45, 45, 90. Again, as long as only one angle is 45 and one angle is a right angle, you're good to go. Because everything else will also be 45. So anytime you see this, use this proportion right here. So that's a key proportion for 45, 45, 90. All right? So you might want to circle this down if you haven't done so. Basically, it's just substitute, solve your proportion. That's what we have going on. But it's all about getting the proportion set up correct. So if we look at this first problem, now, don't necessarily need this part. Cross that out. But the goal is, what we need to do, well, you have a 45-degree angle. This one's going to be 45, that one's 90. Now, we need to figure out, we need to identify our leg and our hypotenuse. Which one is our leg? Is it the X or the 25? 25 is the leg. So you might want to write down 25 for the leg. And the hypotenuse is? Hypotenuse is X. So we have 25 for the leg. One. And then X for the hypotenuse. So this is our setup right here. So 25 over X equals 1 over square root of 2. Now, with our proportions, what must we always do? If we have a proportion, we need to do what type of multiplication? Huh? Across, like 25 times 1? Or... Yeah, you got to multiply 25 times square root of 2. And 1 times X. So it's 1 times X. And then 25 times square root of 2. Now, well, what is 1 times X? Now, with this 25 times square root of 2, do we really have to do anything to this? No, just leave it alone. Just write 25 square root of 2. Anything and then we stop. We're done. That's all you have to do for the first problem. You stop right here. I'll highlight this answer. But that's all you do. This is your setup. You solve. That's it. So far, any questions? You got this one? Wrote it down? Okay. We're ready for the next one? All right, now, this one's going to be a little more work. Again, I need that. What's the leg? Is it the 28 or the X? X is our leg. That means our hypotenuse is 28. Okay, yep, you sit right there. So yeah, so hypotenuse is 28. So we have an x over 28. One over square root of 2. But unlike before, well, again like before, what do we have to do? We need to do what with this type of problem? Multiply diagonally. It's going to be 1 times 28. X times square root of 2. Okay. Now, what's going to happen here? Well, obviously, what happens here? Did we do anything to this problem? Did this part 28 times 1? No. In fact, we'll move this over a little bit. However, at first, we have x times square root of 2. But here's the problem. We don't want to divide by a radical or square root. So what could we do? What number could we multiply both sides of this radical by to get rid of that square root of 2? What can we multiply both sides of the 2 or square root of 2? Square root of 2. You got to multiply both sides by square root of 2. This is the most important step right here. You got to get that step. I cannot stress that enough. Because then, what's square root of 2 times square root of 2? What do we get when we multiply the square root of 2 by itself? You just get 2. Yeah, you're right, Alex. So you're going to have x times 2. Now, did we do anything with the 28 times square root of 2? Yes, no? No, leave it alone for now. And what's next? So 28 square root of 2 equals x times 2. What's our, if we want to get, we have x times 2 or 2 times x, that's the same thing, right? I'll just rewrite this line down here. What do we divide both sides by to get the x by itself? That's it. Now the 2's go away. Now, what's 28 divided by 2? 14. Now, the square root of 2, do we do anything to it or bring it down? Just bring it down, that's it. And then this just equals x. And do we have anything else after that? That's it, we stop right here. So the leg is the 14 times square root of 2. That's it for that problem. Any questions on this one? Okay,
Can I go get water real quick?
sure. All right. Now for this next one, we're going to probably use two of the three ratios. I'm going to just do one of the three for the moment. Try to see which one's the hardest. That one's probably the easiest. Okay, which one of the three do you want to do? You want to do number 6, number 7, or number 8? Want to do 8? 8? Okay, I think that might be the hardest one. We'll do number 8. If you get number 8, the other two shouldn't be too bad. All right, with number 8. First off, we have to figure out what's what. So, where's our hypotenuse? Which one's our hypotenuse? That's our hypotenuse up here. Okay, long leg. Which one's a long leg? X or the Y? Long leg is the X. And then Y is on. So now we need to start filling in what we have up here. So the short leg we said was Y. Long leg we said was X. And then 8 square root of 3. Was our hypotenuse. Okay, so out of the three, which proportion will we not use for now? Okay, so we're not going to use this one for now, but I'm going to put a temporary X. All right. Now, out of these other two proportions, well, which one's going to be the easiest to solve? The one in the middle or the one on the right? Middle. Yeah. We're going to use this one first. So here's how we're going to set. So how we're going to set up our ratio for this one. What's on top? What's on the bottom? Y's on the top. And then what are we going to put on the bottom? 8 square root of 3. Then over here, what's on the top? Over. All right. So now, what's our next step? We need to do what? Solve for y. So what do we have to do in our proportion? Every proportion we need to. Huh? Crisscross. So we have. So for this one, well, what's 1 times 8 times square root of 3? Is anything going to really change? No. So at the moment, we just have 8 square root 3. However, now on the other part, what's 2 times y, or y times 2? Y times 2 is y, or that's okay, 2y. Okay, so we have 8 square root of 3 equals 2y. Now, We want to get y by itself. So what do we have to do to both sides of this equation? What's our only step we need to take? By? Do it. So what's 8 divided by 2? And then what happens to the square root of 3? Bring it down. And that equals y. Okay. So now we have the first one. So the short leg is 4 square root of 3. So this is our short leg right here. All right. In the end, we're actually going to use the other one because I'm going to show you why. So similar to before, you have x over 8 square root 3 equals square root 3 over 2, right? We agree to that so far? Now, just like before, what do we have to do to both sides? We have to cross multiply. Boom. Boom. So we have 8 square root of 3. We're going to multiply by this other square root of 3. We agree? Zoe? Edwin, you see what we're doing here with this problem? Equals, I'm running out of room. That's going to equal 2y. Hold on, let me move this down a little. However, I'm going to highlight. But what happens here with our square root of 3's? What does square root of 3 times square root of 3 give us? We multiply square root by itself. What do we get? Just 3. So now you're just left with 8 times 3. But what is 8 times 3? 8 times 3 is 24. And then, to get y by itself, what do we have to divide both sides by? Divide by 2. So then 24 divided by 2 gives us 12. And that is our x. Oh, that should have been x. I'm sorry. Boom. X, 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 X. Yeah, that should have been X. I apologize. That's an easy fix. So 2x divided by 2, x is 12, and the 12 is our what leg? That's our long leg. So 12 is our long leg. All right, any questions on that problem? All right. So what we're going to do now, I want to talk about, during our last little bit of time, I want to talk about this problem. Because I think these are one of the two that we either did that one or the other. All right. Okay. Here's how we're going to do this. Use the cell for X, Y, Z. Now, I forgot to say what was what. Here's our first triangle here. In this case, we're going to solve for the X. Now, we're going to have to use one of the previous, maybe with the previous problem. So we're going to have to find, so we're going to have to look at the relationship between the short leg and the long leg. Now, if we want to go from short leg to long leg, it was 1 over square root of 3. Now, do we know what the short leg is yet for this problem? But do we have the long leg? Yep. Now do we have enough information to get the short leg? We do. Because now you're going to do your cross multiplication. Because x times square root of 3 is x times, and you're going to see why I'm doing this in a second. But what is 1 times, what's 1 times 6 square root of 3? What is 1 times 6? What's 1 times this 6 times square root of 3? Does this change? No. It does not change. So this is really 6 . Not what I wanted to do. So we're just at 6 times square root of 3. However, we notice how we have 6 times square root of 3 equals x times square root of 3? What can we do in this case to get the x? We see that both sides are multiplied by square root of 3, right? In this case, this was a time where I could say you could divide by square root of 3. Divide by square root of 3. Because then what happens, the square root of 3's, they cancel. So you're just left with x. But what happens to these square root of 3's? What's that? They cancel too. So you're just left with what number on this side of the equal sign? 6. So x, 6. X is going to be 6. Now, from here to here, If we want to go from short leg to hypotenuse, if we want to go from short leg to hypotenuse, what number do we multiply the short leg by to get the hypotenuse? Anybody remember? 36 and 90? What number can we multiply short leg by to get to the hypotenuse? What's that? Okay. So from short leg to hypotenuse, we just multiply by give you a hint. How many fingers am I holding up? Short leg to the hypotenuse, just multiply by 2. So therefore, the hypotenuse is what number? So if 6 is a short leg, the hypotenuse must be? Hypotenuse must be? No, too much. Just multiply by 2. No squaring. It's just 6 times 2. 12. Yep, that's all it was. Yeah, 6 times 2. Hypotenuse. That's 12. But now it turns out the hypotenuse for this triangle was the leg of the other triangle. Because if we see we have a 45 here, this angle is also 45. So if this side is 12, that must mean this side is also 12. So y is also 12. And then last but not least, if we want to go from leg to hypotenuse, so the 45, 45, 90, you're going to go from leg to hypotenuse. Here's the quickest way. Multiply by square root of 2. So if we have a whole number multiplied by square root, does anything really happen? No. Make that arrow a little smaller. So if you want to go from leg to the hypotenuse, the quickest way, and that's for 45, 45, 90, multiply by 2, and you're done. Okay,